Hey, welcome back, everyone. It is me, Kai, and up there is Ken, right? Ken? Wait.
It's me.
That's right. And Ken, you know, you watch a lot of VTubers, right? I'm sure.
Do I? I guess, yeah, I do.
Yeah, and
totally.
what is the most important thing about, you know, your favorite VTuber?
Most important thing, I think the thing I like most about my favorite VTuber is that she makes a lot of inappropriate jokes.
Okay, that's okay. That's a good answer. But the other answer that I was looking for is, how do I put her in my Weiss Schwartz deck, right? And I mean, when you build a deck, right, sometimes, especially in Weiss Schwartz, half of it is about like, do I like how this deck looks like, right? You know, it's like, is it got my favorite characters? Is it playing well? And the other one is just, I want to win, right? I want to win. But we can help you with that, right? We can help you win and also put in your favorite character, at least one copy, right? At least one copy. So today we're gonna go through every single talent from Hololive and give you one card that you can basically splash a lot of places, right? In a lot of decks. It's not going to be a guarantee, but generally speaking, you can probably throw in somewhere. Right? I'm going to start off with Sora. So tell me about this Sora a bit.
Okay. So this Sora gains 2k power if you play her with another character on the board, and when she's sent to the waiting room, you can effectively pay 1 stock and take 1 damage, and you summon a cost 0 from cost 0 from your deck whose level is equal to or lower than your own. So basically she's big enough to fight over your opponent's stuff, and then she replaces herself on the swing back. Overall, pretty solid card. You don't have to worry too much about the sort of deck you're playing her in. She can even summon level 1s once you hit level 1, so
very nice.
Yeah, pretty splashable card.
Cool. Next we have is Miko. I think we've talked about, we have another video, right? We've talked about some of the great cards from TDs and the booster packs. This was one of them, and we'll just rehash it again. Why is this Miko good?
Yeah. So she's a pretty respectable 3/5 power. That's probably the size that you want your level 0 beta to be in most sets. She has a generic effect that's good throughout most of the game. When you need it, you can change a card in your hand for something better. And she has a drawback, but a lot of the time your opponent's got to forget the drawback, so she half the time doesn't have a drawback. So yeah, pretty good card, pretty splashable. Don't have to play 4, but it's just nice to have.
It searches a card from the deck as well. It tutors, right? Very good. In any deck. Any deck. Next up is the Roboco. This is our first level 1 card that we're seeing, and it's got some nice effects associated with it, right?
Yep. So because she's level 1, you will need to have red in your deck, but I'm assuming that's not going to be too difficult if you really like Roboco. What you can do is that for absolutely free, you can discard a character from your hand and swap it with a character in your waiting room, whose level is equal to or lower than the level of the card on the top of your deck. And when she attacks, you can choose something else to get involved on 5. So she's a little weak on her own, but she can pump up something else to beat the other lane, and then you can swap a card in your hand for something that you want, or you can even send something in your hand to the waiting room where you prefer it to be. So yeah, just a nice utility card.
Yep. The power pump is actually very, very relevant because, hey, you know, you want to get over things for some on-reverse combos, and just the extra 1/5 actually just helps. Yeah. And then lastly, from the 0th generation, 0 gen, right, we've got Suisei, and this is just a great overall heal to stock card, right?
Yep. And unlike the Roboco we just looked at, you can actually ignore the color on this card because of her effect, where if you have 4 cards on the board, you can ignore the color condition for this card and play it straight onto the board. And then, you know, she's a bit big on your turn, she heals, she has 2 soul, so you can just, you know, do all the good stuff that you want to do at level 2, and yeah, you don't have to worry about too much, and you can just throw in this Suisei in basically any deck, and you shouldn't feel too bad about it.
That's right. Moving on to the 1st generation, we have Mel, right? Mel. This one's interesting. It gives you stock and has power, right?
Yep. Stock is actually kind of hard to get in this game. If you look through the card list and read how many cards actually give you free stock, it's not that many. So a card like this, which hits a decent amount of power and has the opportunity to give you stock, is really nice. It's only 1 line of effects, but it's good enough to just justify putting in your deck. If you already got yellow and you don't mind a little bit of extra stock, you like Mel, I think it's a good card to put in your deck.
Nice. And then we've got Hachima, Akai Haato. This one has this second effect is actually very unique, right?
Yeah, there are like a few cards here and there that might have the effect, but it's still pretty rare. What she does is she goes through her deck a little bit and lets you add a climax to your hand. So in the early game, it's a little bit of extra digging around for your level 1 climax combo, so you can get to that smoothly. Again, she gives a bit of power to something else, so she's not too bad in the later stage of the game if you don't want to use the other effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, just makes that early game a bit smoother, increases your opportunities to get a climax, and overall, decent card. Fits in most decks.
Very nice. And then we have the Aki Rose, just from the TD, basically extra attacker, replaces herself, just does everything you want it to do, right? Just it's 2/5, actually a decent power line right now. And yeah,
it's good in the early game, it's good in the late game, it's almost always usable, nothing to complain about. You can actually just chuck 4 of this card into your deck and it's probably going to be pretty good.
That's right. And then we got Matsuri as... Matsuri actually has some, like, 2 decent cards, right? But we picked this one because this one is generally just, you want to have it. You want to have it in all your decks, basically. Yeah?
Yeah. As long as your deck is yellow, this just becomes a real threat. Your opponent can't afford to build too much clean stock while compressing their deck. And then, aside from that, she's also kind of big. Once you use an act ability, your opponent's backstage says 1000, so 12k. A respectable number at level 3. Has some opportunities there. Overall, pretty good card.
Okay, moving on to the second gen, we have Choco, right? Choco, another great utility card, able to salvage, able to mill cards from the top of your deck just to go through them, and it's actually not mandatory. So it literally can be splashed in everything. Because it's level 0. Man. Not much else to say, right? Next we have is this Aqua, another busted card, right?
Pretty nuts for a common. Yeah,
that's right. Just big in the center, able to replace itself and more, right? And can fix your colors because of the way she clocks stuff, right? With her cost. So very, very, very nice.
So this Shion, this is a Brainstorm for 5, which unlike all of the trial deck Brainstorms, actually lets you pick which card you get into your hand. She does have a minor drawback where she doesn't stand if you have one or fewer cards in your clock. But I think there's an Aqua in either the booster or the TD, which lets you stand her when you play the other Aqua as well. So you can sort of bypass this drawback. And brainstorming that extra 1 card often makes the difference between how many cards, like 1 or 2 cards, 2 or 3 cards that you get off this. So yeah, it's a little bit of extra work to make sure that she doesn't just stay rested for the entire game. But overall, I think the benefit of playing this card is there. So if you really like Shion, it's a pretty good card to just put in your deck.
Yeah, she has 2 unique abilities, basically. The Brainstorm 5, but also just the swap, right? The swap, just a fixed color sometimes that can come up. So yeah, very, very cool. Very cool. We got a Subaru, right? We talked about this before, but just kind of an overspec 5k. Got a mill effect that can just kind of go through the deck and grab any level 1 or higher card. So it could be events too. But just overall a decent card. Just a decent card. Yep. And then lastly from second gen, we have Ayame, another card that we talked about before. But we can kind of go through it again. Why is this so good? Again, just the audience.
So slightly meta dependent / matchup dependent, but it means that against decks like Hololive, where it's very important that your board sticks, particular cards just survive your opponent's turn and you get them back. You can use this to not worry about the power and just level them down, and your opponent has to encore them to keep them on the board, or they have to worry about how they're going to bring them back, and it's just really annoying to deal with. So overall, 1 card can sometimes just answer 2 on the board. Really strong when you know how to use it.
And the cool thing is this kind of pairs pretty cool with Subaru as well, because their experience requires a certain color. This one requires blue, and then this one requires yellow and blue. So it kind of just feeds into each other, and you can kind of drop this one early and go bam bam. Board's gone. Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much.
Next up is the gamers. So we got Fubuki. This is the mill Fubuki. What's it actually called? The correct term. You enlightened us.
Yeah, I'm pushing for this kind of effect where you add a level 1 or higher card to be called Fukajiro, or just Fuka for short. I think Fuka is easy to remember, Fuka. But yeah, it's a good utility card. She pumps power either to herself or something else, and you can discard a card and put excess climaxes into the waiting room while you mill through your deck and potentially add a stronger card to your hand. So yeah, overall pretty good. Should work in almost any deck that you try to put her in, and it's a pretty good Fubuki card.
Next we have is Mio. I feel like Mio was a bit hard to come by, but you know what? 2K counter's not bad. Free 2K counter. That's a
I mean, it's a free way to protect your board. There was actually some other Mio stuff which I thought was good. It's just unfortunately they weren't quite generic. They sort of required you to play some other cards in the deck, but you know, this is by no means a bad card. So if you have stuff on the board that you want to protect, this 2K counter is absolutely fine. I think you should just consider this card if you like Mio.
Right. Cool. We got Korone. Again, it's a runner with an extra utility. Check top 2. It's just great. You throw it anywhere, like in any deck, basically it can run this, and you've got a great utility card, as well as a great early game card too. Right?
Yep.
And then lastly got this Okayu. So this Okayu is a kind of a level support,
Yep, level support, and when you trigger a climax, you can discard a climax to add a character from waiting room to hand. So if you're playing a deck which plays the gold bar, I think officially known as treasure, or pans officially known as gate trigger, you can turn the climax, the card advantage that you gain from the triggering a climax, into a character instead of a climax. So again, like, it sort of smooths out that mid-game issue where you have too many climaxes in your hand and you don't know what to do with them. So yeah, if you like Okayu, if you're playing green as well, you'd probably already be playing some gold bar climaxes anyway. So it's a pretty good card.
More limited because it's like, you know, it's more specific, but you know, Okayu has like a brainstorm. The Mill 3 brainstorm as well, so that's pretty nice. Then 3rd gen, moving on to Rushia. Why this Rushia?
So I thought about some of the other Rushias. I think most people would agree that the best Rushia card in general is the level 3 combo from the trial deck, but we're trying to avoid combos here because it's pretty obvious that if you just wanted to play your favorite character, you're just going to put in the climax combo. Yeah, this one's kind of nice. You can ignore color requirements again, so even if you don't have green, you can always play this Rushia. You can swap a character on your board with the top card of your deck if it's a character, and she can pump power. So, you know, a little bit of hand advantage, not advantage, but hand quality improvement gives a bit of power. You can ignore the color condition. I think it's a bit of everything. Sort of the card you want to look for if you're looking for a splashable.
Yeah, and you can combo with that Korone that we talked before. Check top deck, right?
Yeah.
And the Roboco. Yeah, the Roboco.
Yeah,
if you know what the top
there's a lot of combos with checking the top card of your deck. So yeah, it fits well with those. So yeah, just watch out for those, I guess.
Yeah. This Marine, right? I mean, I think it's talking about Marine, right? Generally, she's probably already in your deck, you know? It's from the level 3 combo, right?
Level 3 combo is really good.
But on the rare chance that she is not in your deck and you want a Marine, there's this one, yeah?
Yeah. So a lot of people might not be too big on the second effect, where you can only discard a climax when she goes to the waiting room. But I think this card, just in particular right now, is quite good because one of the popular decks in the tournament scene, called Mushoku Tensei, or Jobless Reincarnation, plays a 1/1 level 1 climax combo which wants to stay on the board during your opponent's turn. But because this can ignore the power part of all of that, and just reverse your opponent's character as long as this card is reversed, I think it's just like pretty decent right now in the metagame. So if you're not playing the level 3 Marine, but you do have red at level 1, I think this Marine is a decent pick. Maybe like 1 or 2 copies.
Yeah. All right, cool. Next, we got this Pekora. It's nice power boost, right? 2K power boost. Also can just kind of escape to the back rows. You can make extra attacks, pop back, and then just kind of stay alive for more attacks next turn. So overall, just it's very, very simple, but very, very effective. It can be splashed in, you know, power pumps is just crank. It's just good. It's just good. Running over your opponent's cards is great. Then we've got this Noel. So this Noel, we haven't seen this one yet. We haven't seen Noel much, but hey, this one is kind of popping up quite a bit recently, right?
Yeah, the second effect where she gains 4/5 power and neither player can back up during her battles for 1 turn cycle, so your turn and your opponent's next turn, is quite nice. Again, there's a lot of decks in Hololive and the aforementioned Mushoku Tensei where you want your stuff to stay alive, and this card not only pretty much guarantees that you win over your opponent's board on your turn, but she's actually pretty likely to survive your opponent's as well. She comes out early, so you always have the option to do that as soon as you hit level 2. And she even has an additional bit of text where, you know, at the end of the game, you can pay some stock and deal a bit more damage.
End of the turn, yeah.
End of the game. So yeah, pretty generic. As long as you have blue and you like Noel Dancho, I think she's referred to quite often. Yeah, pretty decent card.
Very nice. And then lastly, for 3rd gen, we've got Shiranui Flare, right? There's 3 effects on this one as well.
Yep.
Just overall, very nice finisher, right?
Yeah, so she doesn't need a climax combo, as the same with every other card on this list that we've got, but she gives herself the ability to deal 1 damage if her damage is cancelled, and then you can pay an additional cost to gain the effect again. So if your opponent cancels this card's attack, they have to take 1 instance of damage twice. And if you only have 2 lanes of your general level 3 combo, and then you have this up, it's just a bit easier to go into a finisher. Sometimes the numbers are a bit better if you set up this card instead. And well, it might feel wasted if your opponent doesn't cancel this card's damage, but in that case, you probably did 2 or 3 damage anyway. So yeah, overall, nice one-off card. If you really like Flare, it shouldn't hurt your deck too much overall.
Cool. Then we've got Watame. We're moving on to Fortune. Again, this Watame helps break boards, right? Can be, if you're running yellow, we've got some really good yellow cards already, right? Especially like Matsuri, you want to play that. So putting in yellow is not bad. Korone level 1 combo as well. So yellow is like already a nice include, but having this as well, just being able to break the big boards, and that comes out early too, which you can even like easily win like 2 lanes, right, with this card. Yeah. So not much to say. Very, very good. Very splashable. You don't really run like 4. It's like 1 or 2.
No, it's just 1 or 2.
Yeah. Then we got this Coco, right? Coco, the clean cut, right?
The clean cut effect.
It's got a decent power line. It's 3k. Can't side attack, but usually when you're clean cutting, you're not side attacking. But early game, you can make extra attackers and then throw them back, or then save a card later on. The 3k is still kind of relevant if your opponent moves up like a weak card. This can snipe that and save other side as well. So very, very cool. Just overall, very, very cool Coco card deck. It's just splashable basically everywhere. And then moving on, we've got the Towa, right? Towa. Do you want to kind of explain this one as well?
Yeah, this one's a little bit less splashable, of course, because of the color, but also because it's hard to use the last effect in generic decks. But even without that, it's a 2-1 level support. It goes power, and sometimes, actually like 50% plus, you're going to know the top card of your deck, and you'll get some free stock back. So she basically comes out for free while supporting your level 3s. And then if your opponent happens to have an open card in the front row, or you made an open card in the front row with the Watame that we just looked at 2 cards earlier, you can send Towa to the waiting room and drag out your opponent's back row and smash over that as well.
That's right.
And make your opponent's hand size suffer. So it's just a decent card with additional benefits. If you like Towa, it's a good pick.
Cool. I got Luna. This one's very simple. Again, can't side attack, but this is just your climax swap up. And just basically fix your hand to the correct climax and let you combo even better. And just 3k line as well. It's just very, very simple and good. Right, 3k, very cool. And then the last of the 4th gens, right? We have this one is a Kanata, and this one has a bunch of modes. Do you kind of want to explain this one, Ken?
Yeah, so when you play this Kanata, you can choose one of 3 effects, of which the first one is choose an opponent's character, and they can't use events or backups for that turn or against that during that character's battle. The second one is you can discard a card to heal the top card of your clock to stock, or you can choose, or the third effect is all of your characters gain 1000 power and 1 soul, so effectively you slam to climax. A card who only has one of those abilities is generally not that strong, but because you can hold this card in your hand and you can decide what you want to do based on what the scenario is. So, you want to stop your opponent from using a powerful counter, you can use the first one. If you just want some damage output, use the last one. And, if you want to heal 1 more, or wait 1 turn and then win on the next one, you can use the second effect. So overall flexible, and because it's like 3 different effects on 1 card, again, like it sort of does the job of multiple cards in 1 slot. So really flashable.
The 3 effects is not like, they all have different utilities, which is the key part. It's the key part. So overall, just very, very splashable and very unique. And then let's move on to the 5th gen. We have the Lamy here. So again, I think we talked about Lamy and how unfortunate some of the cards for Lamy are.
They're not bad.
This is one of the better ones.
It's just a bit difficult to splash. They all kind of you're kind of a bit locked into that Gen 5 memory mechanic a bit, as is this one. But once you get the payoff for this card, which is you only need to have 2 cards in your memory, it's not actually that difficult relative to some of the other ones. You have an 8k hand on call card, which gains 6k against level 3s. And right now, playing level 3s at level 2 is a pretty big thing, especially in Hololive Title Cup and stuff. So a card that can repeatedly challenge your opponent's level 3s and threaten to send them to the waiting room is pretty good. So I think, yeah, this is, if you really like Lamy, it's a pretty good card to consider.
Cool. Next we have is this Botan. Again, Botan a bit sad as well. I'm a huge fan of Botan. But this one at least is more splashable and can allow you to get things, right?
Yeah, so this is one of those cards again, which if it goes to the waiting room, you can pay 1 stock and take 1 damage effectively. And you get to add another card to your hand. This one is a character from the top 3, which means that, it's got a little bit of added mill utility. You have a wider search range than your waiting room in the early game, so sometimes it's better than the Aki Rosenthal at level 0. 2000 power is not too high, not too low, it's decent, so if you really like Botan, this can be just your attacker of choice, and deck should be pretty decent.
And then we've got the Nene here. This Nene gets a few power. It can reach like 2-5 when another Hololive character attacks, but then the second effect, just when it gets reversed during your opponent's turn, they can pay 1 and then just rest it, and then get to attack with this next turn, and it goes to memory after that. So overall, just a nice simple card. You kind of throw it in if you just want like a card that can just stay alive, right, and have a bit of power in the game. I have to say 2-5 is not too amazing, but being able to just attack twice is pretty nice. And you can also like ram this into like a bigger card after you use the effect, because she's gonna go to the memory anyway, right? So just overall, just a nice, decent splashable card.
It also feeds into the memory package as well, so you can activate stuff like the Lamy we just looked at. So yeah, solid pick for Nene.
And then lastly, we have the Polka, right? This Polka, really, really strong. Able to make extra bodies on the board, helps the memory mechanics. Anything you want to add?
Extra body, so you technically gain card advantage. You get to pick what you get, so if you're struggling to get your level 1 combo, but there's a convenient copy in your bin, you can use this to get it out. It's really easy to use, and I think the strengths of this card are very self-explanatory.
And look, on those really rare situations, you can basically get a lot of the utility cards that we've mentioned here out with this card, and then do something like a extra mill or an extra brainstorm or something like that, right? Even though it's not stock efficient, some of those situations do come up, right? Some of those do come up. So overall,
it's a good emergency button.
Yeah, those are basically 1 card for every single talent from Hololive. I know there's still the EN and the Indonesian the promos, right? But those all have similar effects on different colors, and they're all promos. So if you want to get them, grab them. They all have the same effect except different colors. So go check that one out. If you have any other suggestions, other cards that you think should be included instead of the cards we mentioned, let us know. We did try to again stay away from the climax combos, right? Because those aren't exactly splashable.
So I mean, if you're trying to just build a deck around that card, you're just going to build around the combos. So this is more like, I want to make a second deck, but I still want to include my favorite VTuber. Which one should I put in? So here's the list. I think we've been pretty comprehensive here. So
again, let us know in the comments what you guys think. If you've got any questions as well, we'll be monitoring and responding to them, right? But again, stay tuned for more Hololive content, especially Weiss Schwartz content too. And anything you want to add?
No, I think I've covered everything I want to say. Just as Kai said, let us know in the comments if you've got any questions, suggestions, etc. We're pretty keen to hear from you. We'll try to be as responsive as we can. But yeah, thanks for watching.
All right, see you guys later.
See ya.